Hi friends, welcome to SNCA Study Club, a platform for CA final students. Here we are moving towards the 14th question. A chartered accountant holding certificate of practice and having 4 article clerks registered under him accept a point as a full-time lecturer in college. Also, he becomes a partner with his brother in a business. Examine his conduct in the light of Chartered Accountants Act. So here what is happening? He is a chartered accountant, that is a practicing chartered accountant having but 4 articles. He appointed or he appointed as a full-time lectureship in a college, plus he is also engaged in any business or occupation with his brother, right? So here we have to indicate relevant clause, council guideline, questions and conclusion. This is our format. First of all, what is the relevant clause here? Did you remember? Which is providing with respect of engaging in any business or occupation other than chartered accountant's profession. Clause 11 part 1 first schedule, right? So which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he engages in any business or occupation other than the profession of chartered accountants unless otherwise or without obtaining the prior approval of the council, right? So this is the relevant clause which has already provided that is as per our council guidelines or as per some regulation. They have regulation 190 and 191. 190 provides with respect of the general permission, and 191 states that they should obtain what specific permission of the council and prior approval of the council for engaging in any business or occupation. So regulation 190 and 191 provides a basis for filing an application or basis or to determine can a practicing chartered accountant engages in any business or occupation other than the professional chartered accountancy, right? So here which is stating that, then we have to indicate question here. Practicing chartered accountant having 4 articles, engaged as a full-time lecturer in a college and also engaged in a business of his brother. And these 2 cases have happened or he has engaged in such business or occupation without obtaining the specific approval or prior permission of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, that is our council. Hence he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Question state then guilty of professional misconduct, right? This is the answer. So here what is happening, that is regulation 190 and 191 provide basis for filing an application and to determine whether a practicing chartered accountant can engage in any business or occupation other than the professional chartered accountancy. As per 190A, council has provided general permission for if he is engaging any business or occupation for which generally permission has been granted by council, it is not required to obtain further permission. But at the same time, if it is not permitted generally by the council, if it is requiring specific permission and prior approval of the council, then concerned chartered accountant have to file application to the council. Here he has failed to do so, hence he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct, right? So this is what 14th question, that is he has failed to obtain SAP. SAP means specific approval and prior permission, right? We are moving towards the 14th B question. So here we are moving towards the 14th B question. XYZ Company Limited has applied to a bank for loan. The bank, on studying the financial statements of the company, notices that you are the auditor and requests you to call at the bank for a discussion. In the course of the discussion, the bank asks you opinion regarding the company and also asks detailed info regarding few items in the financial statements. The information is available in your working paper file. What should you, whether you respond or not? So here what is happening? This is the company, right? And the company is filing an application with the bank for the purpose of getting loan. So the bank identifies that there is an auditor to that company and asks that auditor to attend some discussion, and they are asking the opinion of the auditor with respect of the company, and they are also asking what information about some components in the financial statement, that is items of financial statement. They have to identify or they have to obtain some information about the items. So here can auditor do so? If he has done the same, whether he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct or not, this is the question. Okay, so here what is we have to check This is the answer pattern. First of all, you have to indicate clause, and if the standards etc., then question plus last one is conclusion, right? So which is the relevant question here? Sorry, clause here, that is disclosure of confidential information. Yeah, clause 1 part 1 second schedule. Then which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if they discloses any confidential information acquired during the course of professional engagement to any person other than his client, or unless otherwise required by law or regulation. So here what is happening, that is bank is asked to disclose the information. If he disclosed, he will be deemed to be guilty. So first of all, indicate the clause. 1 minute. Now, did you remember, or did you remember any essay that is describing with respect of what? Confidentiality. Yeah, basic principle, that is essay 200. Indicate essay 200, which is stated that auditor, that is a chartered accountant, have to respect that confidentiality. He is not responsible to disclose any confidential information unless otherwise it is required by law or regulation. So essay 200 is also providing the same. Okay, then we also studied one thing, that is 140, section 140, that is fundamental principle, which is also stated that auditor, that is fundamental principle of confidentiality, impose a responsibility of the professional accountant that he shall not disclose any confidential information acquired during the course of professional engagement to any person other than client, or otherwise required by law or regulation. So these are the matters that is to be indicated. Then essay 230, that is working paper. This is the property of what? Auditor. If he thinks so, or if he at his discretion, he may provide some extracts of these working papers only with the client and not to a third party, right? Then this is the matters, or these are the factors that is to be considered while answering. Then B part. Question. What is providing in the question here? Bank has been asked the auditor, or bank has asked the auditor to attend the discussion for the purpose of getting opinion with respect of the company, or to obtain some information with respect of the financial statement of the company which has filed an application with the bank for the purpose of availing loan. That is the same question you have to indicate. So last one, this is the conclusion. Here auditor is not responsible to disclose such information with the bank because there is no requirement exists as per any law or regulation, or the same is not providing to the client or with the consent of the client. So if auditor do so, that is if auditor disclose that information, he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. This is the answer, or this is the pattern in which you have to answer, right? So we are moving towards the 14C question. So here what is the question? A chartered accountant in practice, in spite of repeated requests from the secretary of the institute, fails to submit form 8. Is he liable to guilty of misconduct? This is the question. So here what is happening, that is he is a chartered accountant, that is it has not mentioned whether he is a practicing or not, right? Whether it is mentioned? Yeah, that is CA plus COP, right? So our secretary of the council has made some repeated requests to submit form 18, but our chartered accountant, that is the concerned chartered accountant, fails to do so. That is secretary of ICA making the request to submit, but they fail to do so. So you have to indicate the clause plus what is mean in the question, and last one the conclusion. So here we are stating relevant clause. Here what is happening? Institute, that is secretary is asking question. Secretary means it is what? Secretary is standing on behalf of what? Institute, or secretary is asking on behalf of institute. It is stating that chartered accountant, that is a member of institute, does not supply the information called for by the institute, which is stating that clause 2 part 3 first schedule. Okay, clause 2 part 3 first schedule, plus you can indicate one more clause here, form 18, that is it has to be submitted. It is also amounts to what? A regulation. So they are contravening the regulation. So which clause? Clause 1 part 2 second schedule, right? This is also an indication. So which is stating that is clause 2 part 3 first schedule stating that CA, that is a member of institute, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails to, or if he doesn't supply the information called for, or does not comply with the requirements asked for by the institute, by any of its by the council, any of its committee, director discipline, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, quality review board and appellate tribunal. So here what is happening, secretary of ICAI is asking information, or they are making request to submit form 18, that is secretary is asking on behalf of institute. So it is also amounts to what, he is guilty as per clause 2 part 3 first schedule. Then form 18, it is required to be submitted as per council regulation. So which is stating that or he is making contravention of the same regulation. So this is what that clause which is stating that is clause 1 part 2 second schedule. CA, that is a member of institute, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he contravenes any provisions of the act, regulation made thereunder, any council guidelines. So he is guilty under both clauses. Then what is happening in this question here, the practicing chartered accountant is fails to submit what, form 18, even after making repeated query or repeated request from the secretary of ICAI. Here secretary of ICAI is sending the such request on behalf of ICAI. So it amounts to what, a failure which has been done by, or which has been committed by the chartered accountant by non providing or not supplying that required information to the ICAI which has been asked for, called for, right? So question, you have to indicate the question, that is secretary means representing whom, ICAI, right? This have to be the body of that question. See last one, conclusion. So hence he is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. This is the answer, right? 14th we have covered. We are moving towards the 15th question. 15th question, right? CAX was appointed as the auditor of ABC Limited for 15-16. Since he declined to accept the appointment, the board of directors appointed CAY as the auditor in the place of CAX, which was also accepted by CAY. So here we have to determine, here we have what, two chartered accountants, CAX and as well as CAY, who from this, whose point of view we have to determine whether he is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct or not. Yeah, X not accepted the appointment. So guilty of professional misconduct with respect of X is not comes into our mind. That is, it is not a question here. So we have to determine whether CAY is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Here what is happening? X was appointed by the board of directors of ABC Limited as the auditor, but X does not accept the appointment. Okay. Then ABC Limited is making the appointment of Y in the place of X. So here ABC Limited in the place, that is, it is indicated that in the place, which is stating that they considered appointment of Y as filling of casual vacancy as per section 139 subsection 8, right? So here they, but this treatment, is the treatment is valid or not valid? It is not valid. It is not valid. That is, it is not amounts to 139 subsection 8, right? So first of all we have to indicate relevant clause. Which are the relevant clause? Here what is happening? The auditor accepted the audit assignment or audit engagement without ascertaining whether section 139 or 140, 141 of the Companies Act has been complied by the company. So here which is the clause? Clause 9, right? Clause 9 part 1 first schedule, right? Which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he accepts the position of an auditor of a company without ascertaining whether the requirements of Companies Act has been complied. So which are the relevant sections? Section 139 to 140 plus 141. These are the section which is required to be determined. That is the auditor. That is why you have to determine whether these sections has been complied by the company. Here what is done by the company? Here actually what is happened? the company has done 139 subsection 8 which is not valid. That is, it is not amounts to, that is non-acceptance not equal to 139 subsection 8. That is, non-acceptance means it is not equal to casual vacancy. Here in the question, X was appointed by the ABC Limited board of directors of the company where X has not accepted the appointment. So it is not amounts to casual vacancy. So here company can't make such an appointment of another auditor just like filling of casual vacancy. Here the company has done what? Filling of casual vacancy by appointing Y. Here the ABC Limited or board of directors of the company is liable to make what? New appointment. That is, they have to appoint another auditor in the annual general meeting. That is, have to appoint auditor in AGM and not this, right? And they were, but they, what has been done in this case? They fill the casual vacancy. Hence, the conclusion. What is the conclusion here? Last one is the conclusion. Y is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. This is the answer. Okay. So here we completed 15A. Okay. Here we are moving towards 15B. CAZ, who is leading income tax practitioner and consultant in Jaipur, also trading in derivatives. Here what is happening? He is Z. That is, he is a chartered accountant who is doing income tax works, which is stating that he is a practicing chartered accountant, and at the same time he is engaged in the business or trading in derivatives. So the question is whether Z is guilty of professional misconduct. Did you remember the connector clause or relator clause which is stating that CA engaging in any business or occupation other than practice? So which is that clause? Clause 11 part 1 first schedule, right? Which is stated that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he engages in any business or occupation other than the profession of chartered accountant unless or without obtaining the prior permission of the council. So here we have to determine whether Z has obtained. Now the next part is indication of the question, right? Question which is stating that Z, who is engages in any trading of derivative what? Without obtaining the council permission, right? Council permission plus indicate general permission and special permission matter. That is, in the given question, Z, who is a practicing chartered accountant, has engaged in the business of trading in derivatives, or he has engaged in the activity of trading in derivatives. So council has provided some business or occupation in which a practicing chartered accountant may enter without obtaining that is for which generally permission has been granted by the council. That is, it is not required to obtain the prior approval if the chartered accountant in practice is entering into any business or occupation for which general permission has been provided by the council. So we have to check which are the activities or which are the occupations for which general permission has been granted by the council. So you have to check it once more. I have already explained clause 11 in my professional ethics class, which is stating that authorship of any books, editorship of professional journal, that is our professional journal, then attending of any exam, justice in peace, special executive magistrate, then what, valuer of questions, then any tutorship under the coaching institute of our council, that is institute, we know that southern region, western region, etc. Okay, so these are certain examples for which general permission has been granted by the council. So we have to check whether the trading in derivative is included as a activity as per the general permission. That is, determine whether general permission is granted for trading in derivative. So you have to indicate that Z has been engaged in an activity which is stated that trading in derivatives for which general permission has not been granted by the council. Hence, he is required to obtain what? SAP, right? Special permission, that is specific approval. General permission is not required. So he have to obtain specific approval and prior permission of the council is required. In the given case, it is not stated that he has obtained the prior approval or specific permission or specific approval of the council. Hence, he is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Right? So, first of all, you have to indicate the relevant clause, which is that clause 11, part 1, first schedule, which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he engages in any business or occupation other than the profession of CA without obtaining the permission of the council. Here, Z, who is a practicing chartered accountant, has entered into trading in derivatives. Council has provided or council has specified certain activities, business or occupation which can be entered into by a chartered accountant for which general permission has been granted by the council. If such activities amounts to or is coming under the activity for which general permission has been granted by the council, it is not required to obtain specific permission. But trading in derivative is not covered under the activities or business for which general permission is granted. Hence, the concerned chartered accountant is required to obtain specific permission or prior approval of the council. Here, Z, who has failed to obtain such an approval, or Z, who failed to file such an application for the purpose of getting specific approval and entered into such activities without obtaining the permission of the council, hence he is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. This is the answer. 1 minute. Deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Right? Here we are moving towards 15C. CAZZ, who conducted ABC audit of a Marathi Daily New Era, certified the circulation figures based on the Management Information System report without examining the books of accounts. Here what is happening? Practicing chartered accountant, he certified circulation. Did you remember that? Good luck. The same example here. That is, chartered accountant certified the circulation without examining the financial records and books of accounts. So, whether these chartered accountant ZZ is guilty of professional misconduct or not? This is the question. So, first of all, we have to indicate clause. So, what is he is doing? He is expressing an opinion on the financial statement, right? No. He is doing what? Certification or circulation. This is not amounts to what? Audit engagement. But at the same time, he is doing what? A professional duty or professional engagement. So, in that professional engagement, he is not contributing his 100%, which means not even 20%, which means that he is grossly negligent. So, which is the clause that is indicating grossly negligent? Did you remember? Yeah. Clause 7, part 1, second schedule, right? Which is stating that CA in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he fails to exercise due diligence or grossly negligent during his professional duty. That is, in the clause 7, it is not stating that if he grossly negligent with respect of if he is expressing an opinion on the financial statement. He is telling, this clause is providing that this clause is applicable to all professional work which has been entered into by a chartered accountant. So, he is doing what? Certifying circulation without examining the books of accounts. So, which means that he is grossly negligent in his professional duty. Then, question. In the given case, the practicing chartered accountant ZZ has certified the circulation without examining the financial records, books of accounts. He is grossly negligent because the chartered accountant is required to access the books of accounts, that is providing the details with respect of the total number of copies which has been sold. Number of copies sold. Copies which has been printed. Pending to print out. Then total order received. Cash received or not. So the chartered accountant should access all these details, that is the books of accounts or records that is providing details with respect of the number of copies sold, cash received or not, number of copies which has been printed, which is pending for printing, total order received, etc. Plus, shall not certify what? Any circulation on the basis of statistical figures. Statistical figures. That is, should examine financial records. So in the given case, the chartered accountant is failed to do so, that is failed to exercise the due diligence, or he is grossly negligent in his professional duty. So the last one, conclusion, he is guilty of professional misconduct. This is the answer. I hope you understand with respect to this, right? So here we completed about 15th question.